How were your parents, by the way?
Remember.
How were your parents on the cannabis piece, real quick? I don't want to interrupt your flow, but just curious when
No, you're good.
when you called mom and dad and you're like, yeah, I'm going to be in the cannabis industry. How was that?
It wasn't a big deal. I mean, I didn't grow up in a really conservative household.
Oh, okay.
My mom is a straight edge. I mean, she doesn't consume, but not because she thinks it's like devil's lettuce. She's very sensitive, and she just doesn't like putting anything in her body that's not within the structure that she was raised on, you know? So,
Right.
they're like live and let live, right? So
Okay. So they didn't have any major problems with it, but when you were a teenager, you weren't sitting around in the living room getting high with your parents either.
no, I was sneaking around.
Okay.
As I tell these young cats today, I'm like, I used to get in the car with strangers and buy drugs. Joe Rogan has this thing about it. I think it's Joe Rogan that talks about this. He's like, these kids are never going to understand what it was like for us to get weed back in the day. Right?
Isn't that so true? You are so right.
So
I mean, especially even for me, because I'm even older.
Right.
My favorite line is not to go down a rabbit hole here on getting weed when you're young, but when I was a kid, there were two kinds of weed.
Yeah.
The weed you had or you didn't have any. There was no like, oh, sativa, indica, this flavor, that flavor. Like there was none of that. Yeah. You had weed or you didn't have weed. That was it.
You had weed or you didn't have weed, man. That's so true. It is so true. People are scraping resins out of their bowls, you know? It was, I mean, you're from Oklahoma, right?
Yes. Super conservative. But I never I don't remember being scared. Like, when I was in college or whatever, and we'd get, just like you said, we'd just get in a car with some guys who drive around the block and get stoned.
Right.
I never remember thinking, oh, we're going to get arrested or, like, I just don't remember. I don't remember having any of those fears. I just was just like, oh, this is what we do. Like, anyway. That's
awesome. That was not what it was like where I grew up. The cops were looking for a tag, a collar, so that they can work up the chain. I think that's what it was. I mean, they hunted us. We would. So there was like this paranoia and this fear that even to this day, like being in sunny Colorado with the most regulated, legalized market, like sometimes I still smoke and I'm like, wait a
second. I totally, you're absolutely right. I remember the first time I was downtown Denver, we were with a client and we walk out of the restaurant. He just pulls out a pipe right on the sidewalk and he's like, okay, let's have a few hits. And I was the same way. I was like, well, is this around? We, like, check the street. Is there anybody?
Yeah. I don't have my running shoes on.